1. This past Sunday, my mother-in-law had ordered some pizza for everyone at her house. This is something she does regularly for her family. She is very kind and generous, often taking the younger kids into her home on weekends so that the kids and parents in our family have room to breathe for a bit. That doesn't leave much free time for herself because she works as a full-time pick replacement nurse during the week. We always thank her, make sure she doesn't need a break that week, and let her know how much we appreciate her. This weekend, though, she went above and beyond. She had the 15 and 12-year-old cousins and my 6-year-old son from Friday to Sunday night. All of this while bringing him to the birthday party we planned and set up for our son on Saturday. Then offering to keep him afterward. She really is amazing. So back to the pizza. She likes to order from that hut that makes pizza. And normally there aren't any problems. This time when her food was delivered, the pizzas were cold and they had forgotten 4 sodas. She was rightfully upset and called the store to see if they could still deliver the drinks or if she could get a discount or a refund. She was very respectful. I have anxiety and any sort of anger or rude language sticks out to me. She had neither. She usually takes calls on speaker, so this was the conversation. Do you know if the driver who just dropped off our order could bring the sodas back? I think they forgot them.
Nah, they can't.
Okay. Could I get a refund or something instead?
Your driver was through DoorDash, so you'd have to talk to them about that.
Oh, I didn't know the Pizza Hut did that. Don't you guys deliver?
Yeah, but when it gets too busy, DoorDash covers other deliveries.
Wait, I paid a $5 delivery fee to the restaurant, not DoorDash. Where does that money end up going?
Look, what do you want?
I was hoping for some answers on my delivery and a discount or a refund. Is there a manager I could speak with?
I am a manager. What do you want?
This is about the time me and the cousins notice his tone shift. We were like, whoa, 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 what? Can I have your name?
Nah, you don't need my name.
Can I get in-store credit or something?
Nah.
I was in the background, now I'm joined by my young brother-in-law who lives there. Why is he being so rude? They were the ones who forgot our drinks. You weren't even rude to him. I think I'll just call corporate.
You still want the store credit?
Yes, my number...
What's your number?
I was just saying it. Her voice is raising now because she was fed up with his rudeness. She gives him her number.
It's credited. You need anything else?
The number to corporate, if you have it.
Nah.
Then no, and she hangs up. The whole thing really made me upset because of how much my mother-in-law had done for the family all weekend. Shame on you, male Karen. You should not be in a professional position and speak to people that way. As an ex-pizza place worker myself, I understand how rough the job can be. But that's no excuse to lash out at a customer who simply wants what they ordered or a refund if you can't provide it. Hellfreezer's note, I would say definitely just Google the number of corporate, or if it's a franchise, find out who owns that particular franchise, and call them. Certainly go on to the review page if they have anything. Maybe, I think LinkedIn, do they do reviews? I know I did a story a while back where someone posted a review on LinkedIn that caught the attention of some higher up people and the issue was dealt with. That might be worth looking into as well. And while I can usually understand when restaurants are like, it was ordered through this delivery app, be it Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever it might be. In this case, you didn't order through the app, so the onus to fix it is definitely on them. I'm very sorry your mother-in-law had to go through that, and I hope she's able to get a satisfactory resolution. 2. This happened a few years ago. I was a volunteer for 2 days a week at a small office for undocumented people in my hometown, which is a city in Europe of about 400,000 people. The office was called by an entitled union lady who demanded young undocumented men from West Africa for a documentary that would be filmed a few days later. For context, in my city are people living without valid papers, refugees turned down, people who join their family, or workers. The office helps undocumented people to get their rights. For example, legally, as an undocumented person, You're entitled to medical care here, but in practice, it is hard to get a doctor because you are not in any system. My office helps to make the appointments. Also, the office serves as a post address for a lot of people. They also help people with their legal issues about stay, and they give toiletries and so on. Important for this story, it is hard to find undocumented people to be in a documentary. People do not want to be recognizable. Also, they often have really difficult circumstances like being homeless. So, when you want to ask somebody for a project, this takes time to explain it as well, and to win their trust. Onto the story. It was a Thursday, 5 minutes before closing time. We had been busy all day long with people with all sorts of questions. Most of the paid workers were gone to a meeting with the council. The only co-worker left was in the meeting room, really busy. Hello, I'm Andrea from the union. We have this project. We want to make a movie and we need young French-speaking West Africans who are illegal in the country. I think the best thing you can do is send an email to C and I will give it to you. You just write down your plan and they will get back to you. And when are they going to answer? I do not know when she's going to answer, but she does not work on Friday, so at the earliest Monday. But we do not have time to wait on your co-worker. It is probably not going to work, because the filmmaker comes already this Tuesday. But then I can tell you it most likely won't work finding people through us. Time is too short. May I speak to a co-worker? My co-worker is not available. Well, why don't you just give us some phone numbers from young West Africans so we can call them ourselves? Of course I cannot do that, because of the privacy rules. I gave you the mail addresses of my co-worker. You can email her. I cannot do more than that. That's not very nice of you. You see, we have a project. And she continued, talking to me. I just want to give you a realistic image about what to expect from us. I just want to give you some more background. And she kept talking. By that time, I realized I would just have to be drastic, so I said, Madam, I really admire your perseverance. But you can email my coworker C. Good day to you, and I hung up. At home, I wondered what just happened. She called us like we were a casting agency. I was appalled that she had the nerve to suggest I just give her phone numbers. She just acted like an entitled person, in my opinion, like she had the right to this information. I tried to be honest with her, and polite, but at the end, I lost my cool when I told her I admired her perseverance. Needless to say, she never emailed my coworker C. 3. Years ago, I had a job that I loved, but it was a dead end, so I decided to change jobs. Before that, I had met this older woman. She was in her late 30s and early 40s, and I was only in my mid-20s, who worked in the same building, but for a different employer. She seemed pretty cool. We used to hang out, and when we could, she said she'd love to work with me someday. Then she got fired and we stopped talking, but just for timing. She had told me all her previous jobs had ended badly, but she also explained why it was always unfair. I was young and admired her, so I believed her. I even helped her get her stuff back because when she got fired it was on bad terms, and she wouldn't be allowed in the building anymore, but I never got the details of that. I found another job after that, then got another at the same time, and lived my life quite happily. COVID hit, and I lost one of my jobs. I found a very low-paying one and started to get desperate for money. I remembered my friend from back then and thought she could give me some advice and moral support. I never thought she would offer me a job because of her history, but she did. Not super well paid, but better than my other second job. So I did the math, and with those two salaries, I'd be fine again, and I quit the low-paying job. She is the president of a non-profit foundation with a business partner, and I was going to be the third person on the team. The day I started the new position with her, she told me she did her math wrong. She could only pay me a very low amount, lower than my previous job, almost minimum wage. She also never hired me, so she never paid for Social Security at all. In my country, your employer adds an amount towards that. So I was stuck there, really struggling with money, but at least the job was super fun and challenging, and I was working with a friend. So that was good. She paid my salary the first 2 months, then at the end of every month she would start crying, literally, about her own financial status, how she had no money at all and how she could only pay me a part of it now and the rest later. She did that, but still not the ideal situation. The rest of the month she would have her nails done, go to expensive parties, go out on vacations, lend money to her business partner who had a drug problem, etc. Things started to get worse every month. But I never thought a friend would screw me over on purpose. Until then, I felt sorry for her. How silly of me. She started to use money from her family-in-law without letting them know, and they started to get suspicious. I think that's how she managed to pay me, but she never said with all the words, just vague implications. We were working on a project for a big company, and after the first delivery, the company said there were many errors in our proposal. We checked, and it was all the things she had done, but she yelled and blamed it on me. That's when it clicked in my head. My part wasn't even relevant for that part of the process yet. I asked her to stop yelling at me and to please explain what she needed from me. Because she wasn't being clear and I wasn't the one in charge of the faulty part, so I wasn't sure how to fix that. She just started to yell even more, now saying she had a friend in my same field check my work and it was incomplete. It really was because I needed her part to finish mine, and she would keep changing it. That was a Friday, so I told her I was going to keep working from home. We could talk on Monday. Monday came and I went into the office. She wasn't there. I tried calling her and no response. I texted her that we needed to talk before I started working, but she replied that she was at the company we were working for, which I knew was impossible for a number of reasons. I told her I quit, and that I was taking all social media account passwords with me. Until she paid me my full salary. The week before, she was crying about not having money, but this time I got the money right away, so I gave her the passwords. And that's how I learned just because someone is your friend doesn't mean it's a good idea to let the important things go. Health Freezer's note. I think it's also important to remember in situations like this, just because someone uses the word friend, they're often using it to manipulate you and get as much as they can out of you. It's the same way that many employers will do the whole "we're a family here" nonsense. If anybody does that, run for the hills. And also, learn when to cut toxic people out of your lives. Obviously, the situation the OP was in that story wasn't ideal, as they needed the paying job, and they stuck it out for as long as they can, but I hope they're in a much better place now. 4. I'm female and was 18 at the time. Was working at a fast food place. I've only ever seen one of these specific places in my life, but I won't give the name just in case. To give you a basic idea, the food is Italian, which means it's mostly pasta. Sure, we had pizza slices, breadsticks, and salads, but mostly different pasta dishes. It's not terribly important to the story, but it's some nice context nonetheless. I always worked the closing shift, 5 to 10, which really went from 5 to 11, with all the things that had to be done for closing. I want to say it was around the middle of my shift, or maybe in the first half. I always worked up front, taking orders and running out food for tables. It was business as usual, but then a woman walked in. Yes, dear readers, the Karen of the wild. I welcomed her with the typical "Hi, welcome to the restaurant, what can I get for you?" Things went well. She ordered her meal. I think the total was $10 or around that range, and I rattled off the phrase that has been burned into my brain. "Would you like to leave a tip?" Surprisingly, she said yes. No red flags yet, so I continued. "Alrighty, please press 1, 2, or 3 on the keypad, then press the green button." I watched as she pushed the buttons in that order. Now, the buttons correspond to different tip amounts. 1 was $1, 2 was $3, and 3 was $5. Since she had pressed 3 as the final option, it meant she gave a $5 tip. Here's where things get messy after I gave her the receipt. She inspected it intently and then started complaining about how much she had tipped, A few of the lines I remember very clearly. "I'm not giving you a $5 tip for a $10 purchase." And the good old, "I pay your salary." I was trying to explain that she hadn't listened to what I had said. That I had said was 1, 2, or 3, not 1, 2, and 3. This basic back and forth continued, and one of my co-workers even came to defend me, saying that I gave very clear instructions. Some more back and forth happened, and the manager was called to settle this. He was busy, so it would take a minute or two, but during that time the woman stared at me directly in the eyes and said, "I don't like your bitchy attitude." I, obviously shocked, exclaimed, "Excuse me?" And being as shocked and angry as I was, felt tears in my eyes. I cry when I'm really angry, for some reason. Anyway, manager got there and settled it. I can't remember exactly what the outcome was, since I was already helping a group of younger boys. 5. Well, this story happened during my time working at Home Depot about 2 or 3 years ago, and not the first time I've had people making racist remarks towards me. I've been at work for a while and don't remember if I had just started my shift or it was ending. I just remember standing at my register and then my coworker, Brooklyn, gently tapped me on the shoulder asking, "Hey, my customers don't speak much English. Can you see if you can help me out?" Luckily, the older couple were speaking Hmong while waiting for us to come over, and I agreed to take over the transaction for Brooklyn, and she'd watch over my register until I finished. Because I've grown comfortable acting as a translator for elderly Hmong customers, or anyone who'd rather speak our native language instead of English. So, not long after I finish their transaction and start heading back to my register, I hear a very entitled throat clearing followed by, excuse me?" Brooklyn and I see Karen standing at her register with a smug, "Well, I'm waiting for my stuff to be rung up." Brooklyn quickly goes over and Karen says, "Yeah, why isn't she coming back to ring me up?" "She was helping the previous customers because they have a language barrier. This is exactly my register." "That's not an excuse to ignore me like that. I'm a customer too. Does she have something against American people?" "No, I was only asked to finish her transaction for the customer. I came back because that's all I was asked to do." Also, Karen didn't walk up until after I walked away, or else I would have turned around to ring her up. By the time we noticed Karen, Brooklyn was a few steps away, and hence why she quickly went over to ring her up. Karen was not happy with my answer, and started grumbling under her breath, so I didn't exactly hear what she was saying until she said loudly, "Your kind is the reason we bombed Japan!" Me and Brooklyn stopped what we were doing and stared at Karen, baffled by what she just said. Karen smirks and asks me, "What? It's true. Japanese people attacked us first." I'm starting to get mad, but not because of that fact, but due to Karen assuming I'm Japanese, because I was Asian and implying that I was racist. I wasn't even born when that happened. Don't blame what happened in the past on me. I'm just doing what my coworker asked of me, and I didn't ignore you. You walked up when I'd already walked away. "Oh, scary Japanese girl's telling me what to do and claiming her kind isn't at fault for Pearl Harbor." "I'm Hmong, not Japanese. Learn your Asian races," I said, seeing red quite firmly. Karen was shocked that I stood up to her. "Hmong isn't a race. You clearly made that up." Suddenly, Sally, our supervisor and head cashier, overheard what was said as she was walking over. Hey, break it up. You need to teach that racist Japanese employee of yours to be respectful, or I'll report you both to corporate." "She wasn't even being disrespectful," said Brooklyn. "She was just correcting you about—" "Oh, now you're ganging up on me. You're an American too, so why are you siding with that Japanese?" "Leave," said Sally. "I'm not going to stand by you harassing my cashiers." But why are you—" Dragon Crystal was asked by her fellow co-worker to assist them, and that's what she did. Then you came over demanding she ring up your stuff rudely and then made racist insults towards Asians. I'm not going to let that happen. Leave now. Karen leaves her cart and storms towards the door saying, "I'll be reporting this to HR. You'll be jobless by tomorrow, you Japanese immigrant." I yelled back at her. I'm an American-born Hmong citizen and raised here, stupid. Which made Karen give me a surprised Pikachu face as she disappeared outside. I honestly thought I was going to get a write-up for calling a customer stupid, since I'm normally a calm, collected person. Only to be followed with Sally doubled over laughing, cause she wasn't expecting me to slip in that last part. I was allowed to go on break to cool off after dealing with Karen. That was luckily the only time I saw her. I'm sure she was banned. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 167. Before you go, please do hit that like button and share the video with friends and family. If you want early access to these videos, support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description for your convenience. You can do that there for as little as $1 or more a month. You get all the videos on a Monday. You'll also find links to the Hellfreezer Discord, as well as a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And if you really enjoyed today's video, and you insist, why not leave a tip? Do that by clicking on the heart with the $sign underneath. None of that is necessary, but very much appreciated, and really does help the channel a lot. Okay, I believe we have a birthday shout-out today. I had that saved. Ah, there it is. Today's shout-out goes to Kieran. I don't know how old they are, but birthday's on the 29th. And they're actually having major surgery tomorrow. So, well, firstly, Kieran, we wish you luck for tomorrow. We hope everything goes well without a hitch. We will certainly be thinking of you. And more importantly, I hope you have a very long and peaceful rest period after. Not only because it's your birthday, because... ouch. And before we go, bud, I'd like to sing a very happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kieran. Happy birthday to you. Alrighty, before we go, we'll have the question and answer of the day. And today's question is, if wood and concrete, like brick and things like that, no longer existed to make buildings out of, and we had to make them out of something else, what would you pick? You can explain why if you want, but you don't have to. I would probably choose sand to make myself a very large and resplendent castle, which would then wash away in the rain and make me very, very sad. Let me know what your answers are in the comment below. And before we go, let's have the answer of the day from a previous video. And this was in relation to how many chances do you give someone when they've messed up before you've had enough. And today's answer comes from Cats Over Brats. There may be a second chance, but there won't be a third. That's fair enough. Thank you very much for your answer, Cats Over Brats. I think I used to be the, well, we'll see how it goes, it depends on what they've done, yada yada. Now I very much do believe in second chances, and that's it. And that's not as hard and rigid as it sounds. I'm talking about for the serious things. Although obviously there are some things that just can't be forgiven, and a second chance is not required. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.